You're listening to Talking Threat Intelligence, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the new challenges of today's threat landscape. Each episode, we connect with some of the world's leading practitioners to share stories from the front lines of corporate security. And now, on to the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Threat Intelligence. I'm your host, Robert Value. And joining me today from the opposite coast is Carlos Francisco, Regional Security Leader at one of the largest social media companies in the world and host of the Corporate Security Translator podcast. Carlos, thanks for joining me today, man.
What's up, Rob? Listen, thank you. And thank you to Talking Threat Intelligence for having me here. I think we're going to talk a little bit about mental intelligence today, a little bit on the security industry. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. Thanks for reaching out to me. And let's go, man. Let's get it going.
All right. I just want to say first off, though, man, it's like I just loved your energy and your podcast. It's I was tuning in before this interview, and man, it's like espresso for my ears when I'm
espresso. I'm writing that down.
You can have that one.
Listen, the energy is passion, man, and passion can be definitely. I hope to infuse people with it, especially in the security industry. And I've been doing it for now coming up 25 years. And I grew up most of that time in the kind of service industry part of the corporate security world. And I just love it, man. So that's what it is. It's just passion. That's all, man.
Just passion. All right. Now, Carlos, we chatted the other day. You said something that really, really hit me. You said people in corporate security sometimes bring this military law enforcement mentality, but when we transition over to the corporate side, we really need to start bringing more of a customer service approach. And I just found that really, really interesting. Can you tell listeners a bit more about that?
First of all, I agree that law enforcement, military approach, federal career folks, those things are all important to really understanding what security and safety should be all about, right? And how we should care about people. And the beautiful thing about those people is that they come from that background where they put their lives on the line to take care of people that for a lot of the parts there don't really care about them. I spent a little time as a law enforcement officer, and I remember that. I mean, I was literally, Rob, willing to put my life on the line for people that I knew cared very little about me. So there's a lot of great things that come from those folks that are in those fields. There's a lot of passionate things that come from it, love for the work that you do, because we all know, they don't get paid much, but a lot of the amazing training and the background, right? And the ability to put up with some really, really weird stuff and not lose your cool in the world. So there's a lot of great things, but I think the industry today, the security industry, what we're missing is a little bit of that customer service, white glove service that our clients usually demand. That 95% of our time, Rob, and I might be wrong, it might be 95.2. I never really actually done the math on this, but I know that a lot of our interactions are more customer service based than this security kind of not bouncer mentality, but observe and report and guard and protect. And, yes, those are all things that we do. But our primary mission, I think, should be to be guest relations folks or employee kind of facilitators with a badge. I think that's where we need to be. So, I break those things down. That's how I envision what the future should be like.
Right. When you were explaining that, I was just flashing back to, and we talked about this last time, the movie Invictus, which was about Morgan Freeman. And you kind of get the behind the scenes view of their security team in South Africa at the time. And the best thing that they had was they would be talking to one of the new close protection personnel and say, like, smile when you're doing the job, because everyone else is seeing Mr. Friedman, President Friedman, everywhere he goes. When you see that the security guy was all stiff and serious, it doesn't send out a welcoming vibe. But when you have that smile, which is important in the world of politics, and it's especially important in the world of corporate security.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the pictures that you see today, right? If you're looking at EP, executive protection side of the world, right? It's usually somebody with a suit, tie, with his hands up in his ears or her ears, sunglasses, looking tough, mean, and very focused, right? But even in the EP world today, a lot of their work is concierge. Like you're helping your client out. You're getting them from point A to point B. You're taking care of their families. A lot of them are not gun related. Like you're not carrying a weapon on you. So the industry's changing slowly. And we need to change with that, because what companies are needing today are more of these customer service professionals that have a security mentality. That's what I think we need to do. So working for the Walt Disney Company for 21 years, as I did, my last role there, I was security manager for Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is a real cool place because you have a park with a bunch of guests that go and enjoy the rides. In the back, you have a studio where they're filming stuff. On the side, they have an audio studio where they do like the Disney radio stuff, right? And then you have pretty much, it's the events park where at the end of the night, we close and we reopen for another 25,000 people to just enjoy private events. So I learned a lot about what it is that security needs through basically dealing with people, human to human. And I kind of wrote this plan in my mind of what I thought it should be. So
in terms of, you've adopted this mentality, you've taken it from Disney where it's, really been perfected, and then taking it into, I'm sure, every other place of your career. What kind of results has this mentality created for you when you've taken this into, like, say, a tech company or wherever else you've worked?
What I can tell you is directly on my leadership scores. If I think of a metrics today, directly and first and foremost, let's say my leadership scores. Now, I want you to know that everything I do is not for some kind of a high leadership grade. I could care less about a grading system. What I care about is my people, right? So when you see that when your first kind of leadership review, starts at like a 70, and within 6 months, you start changing the culture, people start seeing for who you are. They know that this is not some kind of representative. This is the real deal, Carlos, right? You can see the scores going up to 80s. I had a 99 percentile. So usually my scores live somewhere between 97 and 99 percentile because I live, breathe, and I care about these things so deeply that if I try to divert from this, I feel really bad. I personally feel bad. If I go, oh man, that's not who you are. It's not who you are, man. Go change. But that's not only it. The culture of the entire system changes. When I start seeing people saying hi as they're walking past you in the hallway, high-fiving, right? Because as you're walking by, you might just throw your hands up. And people are like, man, this dude is a high fiver. All right, let's get it. Like just really weird stuff. Like when you tell people about their awesome dress shirt, right? You look at another guy and you just take time to go, man, where'd you get that shirt? Because that's an awesome, just take the time to recognize people individually, talk about their family, right? Remembering their kid's name and their wife's name. A way I do that, by the way, for all the leaders that are out there, whenever, as I'm finding out and I have their phone numbers, I just start adding their names to their phone numbers so I can pull it up real quick because I can't remember everybody. But anyways, the concepts are so many, and I love with you to break some of these down. Yeah. And kind of put them into slight storylines so people understand really where I'm coming from or where I think the security industry really needs to be.
Let's jump into that then, the follow-up steps. I think you had the magic formula. Is that it's the magic formula. So everything comes out of MAGIC. I did that because, hey, I work for Disney. So magic is cool. It was a magical place, and I love the place till today. But here a customer kind of service approach that I talked to you about. The reason why when I showed up, Rob, to an incident or an issue or something like that, the reason why I felt different is that I literally educated my mind over and over again of what I was there for. I knew my mission. I knew the goal of the company, and I knew everything else. I knew that it was not about me individually. None of those attacks were about me, right? And I knew that most of them, because they loved the company, they weren't there because they hated the company. They were there because, so I had all that in the back of my mind already. So I knew my story. That's the reason why they call us cast members at Disney. I knew my role, right? I knew what I had to play. So here is how I used to approach it. So mindset. To me, I always felt that mindset was like the keys to this magical security kingdom of ours. And the way I just said it, I knew my role. I knew what was going on. I knew my mission, right, and my vision. And that's the M for the magic part. And then the A for the magic part is the approach. So I approached every single one of my days, as I usually say, and it's kind of weird to hear in the security industry, but with like a pixie dust in my mind. That's how I approached every day. I was there to have fun. I was making sure that my team members were having fun. And importantly as well, because of our business, the guests were having fun. But I treated everyone with respect and dignity through the entire interaction. The entire interaction. I knew that it was up to me to either escalate or de-escalate. My job was to de-escalate, treat people with dignity and response. So G for the magic was I greeted everyone with kind of this Hakuna Matata kind of smile, man. I used to come in, and if you're having a tough time, I would always reach out my hand and say, "How you doing, sir, ma'am? How can I help you? I want to make your day better." Right? I knew what the situation I was stepping into. A lot of times, sometimes we don't, but I knew. And the reason for that
I already had my mindset. I was ready to go, and I was going to greet them with the best way I possibly could, and see how they would respond. And then I would continue to be the best human being that I could possibly be. And then the eye in magic was interested. See, I was interested in what they had to say always, because I realized that what was going on and what their hearts were saying was different. And I just had to get to it. I just had to understand what is it that was aching them in order for me to help. That was my goal, right? And then the sea of those interactions that I always had, I was always very committed to great customer service recovery. So if I made the mistake, I let them know and I would fix it. If somebody made a mistake, I let them know and I'd fix it. If they dropped an ice cream, I'd come back with 2 ice creams for them. It's better to have an ice cream with a friend than by yourself, right? And you help them out. But that's the thing. It was the winning formula for me. And I always thought that I could make anyone's day better just by coming in contact with them. I actually always thought that I could bring light to darkness, right? I could bring that light. So that if it's always in your mind, your mindset in security, that you're there to help, protect, bring smiles. So not just to help and protect and secure, right? But now you got to add on, bring smiles, bring dignity, to folks and all these other things, then your mindset starts to change. So that was kind of my approach to the customer service approach that I think the security industry really needs to get a little more involved with every single day. So what do you think about that?
That fascinating answer. I was just feverishly taking down notes for the last 3 minutes there. I got so many different angles where I think we could go down now. But another thing that you have is you have the apply the magic acronym to so many different aspects. Obviously, customer service, but then the other thing that I love is just the leadership and leading your team. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that one too?
Yeah, I've always said, look, if you want to be called a leader, right, you must be willing, Rob, to give almost everything of yourself. It's just like if you see the pictures of a father that has kids, sons, and you see little pieces, it's like a puzzle, and little pieces of the dad's body has moved, and now the sons are taking over. It's the same thing. You have to be really open and give yourself freely and be vulnerable, and not be afraid to say when you're wrong and when you don't know something, all those other things that I think in the security industry today, because of who we are, where we come from, you're not allowed a lot of times to be that vulnerable. You can't. That's just not the magic behind those law enforcement military working really, really well. But it definitely is a corporate way of moving forward. And I think security needs to adopt. So that's how we were where I came from. And here is kind of like the magic, on leadership and my thoughts as I put it together. So the M for it is mentor and motivate others. And I used to always say that if you don't want to motivate others, you don't want to give yourself to others, right? Don't call yourself a leader, call yourself a manager, and do me a favor, don't work on my contract. Like, go work somewhere else. I don't need you, because all I care for a leader to do is to mentor and lead folks to a better life, a better day. And ultimately that just returns to my company as a positive. And I know this for a fact, right? The A for the magic on that one is to assign trust. A lot of times we don't assign trust. And I always said that micromanaging is not magical. So micro is not magical. And sometimes we do a lot of that because, one, we're scared. We sometimes don't know what we're doing, so we have to hold everything close, right? But we don't assign that trust. Give other people the ability to grow and do all those things. You must do that, because if you don't do that, people that work for you, they'll feel empty. And there's nothing worse in today's world than somebody that works for you, a team member, that feels empty inside, like they're not contributing, right? The key in today's world, a lot of times, not even about money. And I know people talk money all the time, but do I feel like I'm contributing? Do I feel like I'm an asset, right? And by the way, the older you become in your career, the more you think of it that way, I think. So that's that. G for the magic is guide by example. I've always said, be the first time time ever. So I remember at Disney, we used to have, we still check bags at the front gates. Sometimes the lines used to back up, Rob, for like minutes. Well, I knew that I had to come in and bring backup in, right? So as the manager, I would be the first one to jump on an open table and start taking bags. Hey, come on in, I'll take you right here, right? To get everybody in, to expedite people through. At the same time, once I started, then I call for backup. I would never call for backup, Rob, and sit back and wait for backup to come. But you got to guide by example. And then what happened is that through time, my folks used to come up to the front, boss, hey, we got you. No, we love you. That's our job. Step back. Because they were now giving back to me, right? Because they knew that I was willing to get down and dirty with them every single time. It's an old principle, but somehow we're forgetting. We're forgetting that principle. The I, it's to instill those company values again, those missions and the keys to your business, right? And the good thing about what I learned at Walt Disney Company, your first 2 days, Rob, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a thing called traditions. And traditions, everybody that gets hired that week goes to traditions, used to be Saturdays and Sundays, right? And you get to sit on the same table with the vice president. Well, and at the same table with the vice president that's starting that week, it's a 16-year-old that's their first job, and they're going to be cashiers at a food and beverage spot. And they're all in the same table learning about the vision, the mission, the storylines. They're doing exercises together, right? Because one of the great concepts of Disney is don't pass it up, pick it up. Everybody, if you see garbage on the floor, it doesn't matter if you're the VP or that 16-year-old with your first job, you pick that garbage up. Everybody does it. That's what we do. We're a team. So if the security industry starts incorporating that as they're bringing in people to the new classes, invite VPs to sit with the folks and learn the mission and the goals and the policies together, you'll see that it'll change. So, and the last for that one is the C for Magic, which is a create a culture of openness, measured risk taken, and follow through. Openness is key, as you know, in today's world. Measured risk taken is really approaching everything through a risk mentality and risk methodology. Okay, instead of just throwing every security thing towards it, thinking that you're going to be able to mitigate all, which never happens. You got to think through risk and really where they need it. And the most important thing is to follow through, which I'll talk later on maybe about partnership. If you don't follow through, if you're not honest, if you can't do something, let them know you can't do it, but you're going to find a way to help them out. And let's say you can't find a way to help them out, but you let them know, right, within a certain amount of time. Because if you leave your partner hanging, what happens is that they start thinking, well, I'm going to create my own answer in my mind, right? He's not getting back to me, right? You don't want to do that. So follow through is key. Only say what you can do and only do what you can say. And that's it. Go from there. And I think that brings a great partnership relationship, which leads later on into the future a partnership talk if we're able to get there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of great answers there, Carlos. I'm just taking notes down. I bet everyone listening to this should be taking notes. Let's jump into one of the things that you there at the tail end of your last answer to following through with partnerships.
Yeah, so partnerships to me is like a key, because leading without authority in our security business is like everything. Because a lot of times facilities, everybody else owns everything. We're kind of like a lot of times the support unit to what they're trying to the operations, right? So here are some of the keys that I put together that I learned growing up that I thought were extremely important to a great partnership. And again, I'm going to use the old MAGIC acronym to go from there. So the M for is manage our partners' concerns. Manage our partners' concerns. The only way you can do that is by being honest. The only way you can do that is by being positive. The only way you can do that is by giving a little bit of yourself, right? And being vulnerable with them as well as you would with your employees. That's the only way. Now, you don't always have to give them the right answer, but you have to give them a good answer that they're willing to at least continue a conversation with you and grow with you. So those are keys. M, manage our partners' concerns. A, for the Magic, is anticipate our partners' expectations. One of the things that I used to do, Rob, which was great, I used to call them friendship walks. I actually think I didn't get a job one time because the lady interviewing me asked me, how do you deal with partnerships? And I said, well, I start with friendship walks. And you could see her face just went, huh? Like, yeah. So, but partnership walks is an easy concept. When I was at the Walt Disney Company, I used to block out 2 hours out of my day. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. 1 hour in the morning was to walk amongst my partners and talk to them about everything except work. And the second hour, sometimes in the afternoon, right after lunch, would be with my team members. And then I would switch every day. So if yesterday on daytime I was with my partners, well, today I'm going to be with them on the afternoon swing time with my partners. And the reason for that is that I was able to walk with them in their business, and they were telling me everything, what was going on, though we weren't talking business. It just happened, right, to come out as we were walking. They were pointing things out. What I learned is that I started to be able to anticipate their needs because I connected with everyone in the park. I knew food and beverage. I knew merchandise. I knew operations. I knew ride attractions. I knew the theater side of things, right? So whenever they're saying, I'm like, hey, did you ever talk to Joe from facilities? Oh man, he's got an answer for you for that issue, right? So I was able to anticipate our partners' needs and expectations right off the bat because I did the friendship walks and I knew them inside. I knew their families, their kids, right? Those things are important. All right. G, give value to their business. Whenever a partner helps you with anything whatsoever, if you don't say thank you, you're missing a tremendous opportunity. You have to give value to them. If they're doing something well, if they moved something 3 inches to the left and you're like, wow, that made my line go a lot faster. Thank you you have to give them. And sometimes you have to do it openly. You have to let other people know you are incredible, right? Some people like that. So you got to just be careful which one, but give them the value for them and their business. And then inculcate trust and respect. If you, as a security professional, start first with trust and respect, what you're going to learn is that they'll give it right back to you, right? They'll give it right back to you. It's amazing how that works. And C, and last but not least on the magic on partnerships, commit only to what you can do and follow through. What I talked about earlier on the partnership, that's exactly what I'm trying to get through. You only commit to what you can do and follow through. And if you can't, be honest. Or be honest and try to find them some help or somebody that can. Don't fail them by saying you could do something and you can't. If you can't, if you think you can, but you're not sure, hey, I think I can, not sure. Let me ask the question. I'll get back to you. And then get back to them every hour. And if you still don't have the answer, make sure you get back to them because once again, you don't want them to think that you're dropping the ball, right? So that's important. So all of these approaches that really focuses on a mutual respect between the partners and self-awareness. And I wrote this out because I thought it was an important thing to say. And it says, these are the 2 building blocks of any decent relationship, professional or personal. Respect for our partners opens the doors for partners to clearly communicate their needs, and self-awareness allows us to recognize our strengths and weaknesses, putting us in a position to provide realistic deliverables. Once we do these things, a good partner will follow suit and take these same steps, setting us up in the security industry for our own success, right? So bring some of this magic into all of your partnerships and you will find some truly magical results. And that's what partnerships are about today. And it should be in between me and a third-party vendor in a company, me and a provider of some kind of a system, right? That's the kind of relationship that we need to have. Our partners internally as we do business. And that's what it's about, Rob.
Wow, man. Masterclass.
What?
20 masterclass on that. That was outstanding. I just had a great conversation yesterday. I don't know when it's going to be coming out on this podcast release, but we were just talking about the importance of building those partnerships with different stakeholders across the organization. His approach was once you start having those conversations, you see so many more opportunities to find different ways to add value and promote security's roles within the organization. And his philosophy was about looking for ways to save the organization money to improve the ROI of that department. But it's just so important for just about everything that we do.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I have so many ideas, that I gained through what I call security encroachment or security being upfront. Like, I'll give you an example from what your friend was saying. What I learned is that our partners really wanted somebody to be welcoming as people came into the lobbies, right? So I was like, oh, well, then why are they sitting behind this counter? Let's bring them in front of the counter. And I want, as people to walk in the door, I want my security professional, my security officer to say, hey, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to whatever the building is, right? Or welcome to whatever the company is, right? Well, that changed the customer service scores tremendously because now we're up front, right? So yeah, you're right. And your friend is right. The more you learn about their business, the more you can help. So correct.
But it's all driven by curiosity and being interested in others. Other interesting examples of how you've changed your security posture to have more of that customer service approach?
Wow. Yeah. So many different things. I'll give you an example at a gate. What I never liked is that you come in, you show me your ID, I verify who you are, and you say thank you, and you walk away. Right? Okay.
Very stiff.
Yeah, I never liked that. I never thought that's the way to be because, security, that's the first person you're seeing at that building, that location, wherever you are, right? So for me, it was always like I needed to have some kind of a tagline. I wanted my security officers, as they came up, and let's say I am a beautiful resort. Well, let's call it the sand dunes, right? And you would say, but ask the officers, people came in, and welcome to the sand dunes. We're excited for you to stay with us. Automatically, it's not security driven, customer service driven. You got the people excited to come into your resort and hotel. They're already now, it's a level of expectancy of what customer service is going to be like. But that also bought you time as a security professional to look at the person in the eyes, to look at everybody else that's in the car, to look behind the back seat, Now you're looking for suspicious things, activities, right? Now you're able to look because now you're having an interaction with them, right? So that's the interaction piece. And now hey, all right, you're staying with us. Oh, that's great. I'm really excited. Oh, that's an awesome room. Always mention something nice about the hotel or the room or the location or what they're going to visit and where they're going to go. If they're going to meet with Larry, I don't care if you know Larry or not. All I want you to say is, oh, great. Larry's an awesome. That's it. That's exactly it. Because now the expectation is still there. Now, again, you're communicating, you're looking, you're doing your security job, right? But at the same time, all right. And then you do all those interactions. Now it's time to leave, the person to go. You ready, Rob? Here's the key. I never want you to just say, thank you, goodbye, see you later, like none of those things. What I want you to do is to thank them and leave them with a security message. So I never like my security officers to just say goodbye. So what I like for them to do is to say, hey, thank you very much. Larry's excited to see you. Have a good day. And just remember, badge through every door. Or, hey, and just remember, make sure you stay with Larry everywhere you go. Larry's your friend. Yeah, something like that. So now we're adding on these security messages. They were going away. And it's the last thing to hear from you in a positive manner. So now I'm just not inside telling you, badge through doors. How come you're not? So.
But once you've created that interaction and you get people talking, like you said, it buys you time. They might open up a little bit more. You might find out some more information that could be concerning. No big deal at all. It way better than just being the stiff. Oof,
I can't tell you, how many situations where we found items in the cars that were not supposed to be in the car. How many times that we found somebody that was probably too inebriated to even come into our property because we took our time to have a conversation and to be kind and to welcome them into your home, right? You're welcoming them to your home.
I love that we got to put that in towards the end of it, because I can imagine someone saying, oh, all this customer service stuff, but Carlos, man, I got to keep people safe. I got all that stuff to worry about. But like you're saying, this not just better for the business and for employee retention and just being happy at work. It's also a security thing too.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. All right, Carlos, let's take this thing home. What's the main takeaway you want listeners to remember from this episode?
Let's focus on changing the industry to what I think the future is going to be, which is customer service driven first, observe and report second, both extremely important, but customer service ultimately always leads the way in every single QBR I ever set in, every single need from any of my partners, every single need of mine and my team. So think about that first a little bit within your companies, within your line of business, within, either your software or hardware company, as you're dealing with me, the customer. Just think of those things first, and the rest will be beautiful. They'll all fall into place.
All right. And what are you working on now? And how can listeners get that?
Man. So, we got the podcast on YouTube, the Corporate Security Translator podcast. We have the podcast in all of your listening podcast locations, corporate security. The book, So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, has been out, and it's also on Audible now, Rob, for lazy people like me that, like to listen instead of reading. And the second book, I'm fishing out 25,000 words right now, is So You Want to Start Your Corporate Security Program. And it's really designed an entire security program from the beginning to the end on how to do it. So really excited about it. Find me on LinkedIn. Let's chat. Let's talk. Let's keep the conversation going.
All right, everyone, I'd highly recommend checking out his show. I tune in all the time, and the energy, it's the highest energy show in the security space. That's for sure. Anyway, Carlos, man, thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Again, that was Carlos Francisco, regional security leader at one of the largest social media companies in the world and host of the Corporate Security Translator podcast. Thanks for listening to Talking Threat Intelligence. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to episodes. And if you'd like more insights on building a successful threat intelligence program, be sure to check out our resource page at liferafinc.com/blog. That's liferafinc.com/blog. And I will be tuning in next time.